What is the worst piece of information you know? Sea otters are known to rape baby seals. Even worse, the baby seals are often killed during the rape, and sometimes otters hold onto the corpse for a bit longer to have intercourse with the corpse. They are interspecies rapist necrophiliacs. With mentally disabled female patients, doctors almost always prescribe birth control just automatically. This is because mentally disabled girls and women are raped with alarming frequency. They also have a lot of consensual sex with mentally impaired male patients because staff, movies, and TV all make it look like the thing to do. They also often have a lower level of body awareness and little concept of long-term effects like pregnancy and STDs, so between that and the taboo of it, they often don't use protection or tell anyone. God, yes. I remember the discussions when we had to figure out if both of our mentally impaired patients understood what sex meant when they started dating, and the absolute chaos when we decided that one of them did not, and we had to stop the one who did from going too far with the one who didn't, while at the same time not stopping them from dating. And I say we, but I mean the educated experts. I was just a grunt worker who had to deal with the chaos. My son can do something to himself most men have tried at one point in their lives. That's the last time I snuck home for lunch. I make so much noise now entering the house and rooms, it's deafening. I'm heading upstairs, about 4 more stairs, and I'm at the top. During and after WWI, the world didn't expect how horrible the injuries would be. Common injuries were a loss of the left arm and entire face due to the position of shooters in the trenches. To combat this, prosthetic limb technology improved incredibly quickly. A good outcome was obviously prosthetic limbs, but sculptors and doctors also began making prosthetic faces for soldiers who, for lack of a better phrase, lost their faces in war. They were essentially masks used to hide their disfigurement, and, keeping with the disenchantment of the lost generation, many soldiers hated them because they were a way to hide the horrors of war from the public. Not necessarily a horrifying or disturbing fact, but I hate to think of the way millions of young men were made to feel after experiencing WWI. Millions of soldiers and civilians died, and the government said whoopsies. Have a mask. An important character in Boardwalk Empire has one of these facial prosthetics from an injury in WW1, as you say. Great series, well worth watching. You can fit a light bulb into your mouth fairly easily, but it's impossible to get out without breaking the bulb. Please do not try this at home. Now that you know, you will never be able to look at light bulbs the same way again. There is a type of brain cancer that clogs up the channels that drain spinal fluid, causing the pressure to build up enough to force the brain out through the base of the skull, killing the patient. Dolphins are extremely rapey. Most dolphin sex is gang rape. They bite the heads off of fish and inseminate the bodies. You are more likely to be drowned and then raped by a dolphin than you are to be saved by one. People think they're adorable and all that, but they are pretty terrible actually. Edit. Well, this idiot, my claim to fame, is talking about the mating habits of dolphins. Thank you for 1k upvotes. People think they are so adorable because there are lots of stories of dolphins saving people from sharks. Turns out they aren't killing sharks to save people, they just love killing sharks. Dolphins are pretty ked up, like every other species except dogs. My best friend, who's newly engaged, just realized he is gay, and his fiancée, my other best friend, has no idea. I'm the only one he's told. Dude, he needs to call off the wedding. I'm trying to convince him to, but he only just recently accepted who he is, and I'm the only person he's trusted enough to say anything to. I feel terrible too because I see him and his fiancée all the time, but I can't say anything to her about it. It has to come from him. It's an incredibly difficult and tricky situation to navigate. There was a gallery of pictures I stumbled into which were taken in the aftermath of the Tiananmen Square massacre. One of them was a pile of mashed flesh that was run over by a tank until it was turned into a fine paste. That fine paste used to be a person. According to eyewitness reports, bodies of dead people were piled up and repeatedly run over with APCs, then washed into drains with pressure hoses. I once heard as a child a woman talking about her mucus plug falling out of her vagina into the shower. She gave a very Stephen King-like description. I was mortified. In addition to this, the other woman asked her to compare it to menstrual chunks. I'm telling you, as a 9-year-old, this kept me up. I believe I was waiting in the doctor's office for a checkup or something, not 100% sure. One time a glob of cervical mucus fell out after 6, and my SO hands it to me and says, "This came out of you." I couldn't stop laughing. He might as well have said, "I think you dropped this. Here ya go." Whenever I find a strand of my wife's hair in my way, stuck in my glasses, on my toothbrush somehow, etc., I go out of my way to put it back on her head. She hates it. I know that when my mother was young, she was molested by an older male family member, but not her father. She had repressed the memories until years later, when a female cousin was molested by the same family member and went to her to talk about it. Aside from my mom, my cousin, and the one who did it, I'm the only person who knows, as my mom has never told anyone else. She never named who exactly it was, but based on the description and people involved, I know who it is. He's old, decrepit, and lives very far away, so I haven't seen him in years. I hate that it happened, and I hate that there's literally nothing I can do about it at this point. The Cascadia Subduction Zone, a major fault off the coast of Oregon/Washington, is past due for a major earthquake. When it ruptures, it will result in a magnitude 8 to 9 plus earthquake. The quake, combined with the resulting tsunami, will basically wipe every coastal town in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California off the map. Roads will be impassable for months. Electricity, water, natural gas, and telecommunications will be gone for at least that long. There will be no way to get fuel or supplies in by ship, as none of the ports or shipping channels currently used will exist anymore. It is likely to kill tens of thousands of people, possibly more. The odds of this happening in the next 50 years are 1 in 3. Sleep tight. Every time you flush, fecal mist is sprayed into the air. Most public bathrooms do not have lids over their toilets, which means that every time you flush you get covered by a micro blanket of fecal particles. Your skin, your hair, your eyes, the inside of your mouth, etc. And since every surface in that bathroom has seen multiple showers of fecal mist from the dozens of shits that are taken and flushed inside every day, you can imagine that, even if you only go in there to look at yourself in the mirror or wash your hands, you'll still walk out covered from head to toe in fecal matter. There's a transcript out there of the recording they show to new FBI recruits in order to see if they can handle the worst stuff you might run into. I thought it's just a transcript. I've seen worse stuff on the internet. I'm sure it's fine. Nah, it haunts me. I couldn't stop reading it. 2 guys abducted her in a van, and she spent her last hours being raped and tortured. I lay awake at night now, sometimes wondering how people can be so ked up, wondering what it's like to live your last moments knowing that you aren't a person to whoever is holding you captive. You're just a sack of organic tissues. I know exactly how that poor girl was tortured and murdered, and I wish I didn't. I wish I could forget it. I'm not necessarily pro death penalty, but some people should never, ever be eligible to rejoin society. It's the worst information I know, and it serves no purpose, just makes me disappointed in humanity. It has been mentioned, but white phosphorus, commonly used for smoke grenades or incendiary munitions, was up until fairly recently legally used in anti-personnel roles, of which its horrifying effects include extremely dangerous deep tissue burns which can only be stopped by completely smothering the material and depriving it of oxygen. Normally using oil as water won't stop it, at which point, if by some miracle you manage to survive, your body has likely absorbed enough phosphorus that you are extremely likely to die from heart, liver, or kidney failure. It's widely believed in Africa that if you have AIDS you can get rid of it by having sex with an infant, that the disease will transfer to the infant when you have sex with it. It's so bad that billboards are set up telling people that this is false. In just the small area hospital that was the setting of the news story I read about this, they had on average 3 infants per week brought in for treatment, and many of them died of their injuries. This world is more brutal and horrific than most people realize. Someone's cat got ran over by a bike just in front of the cat shelter I volunteered at. The poor thing had multiple opened fractures, and sadly we had to have him euthanized. So right now there's a person out there who's looking for their friend and he will never go back home. Please have your pets microchipped, or at least put a collar with your informations on it. Wow, you've reached the end of the video. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos.